Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
Thanks for joining. I normally talk about business development, straight up business stuff, but today I wanted to get into what's going on across the country, from Minneapolis to LA to New York. We are dealing with social upheaval in the aftermath of the death of George Floyd and the terrible way that he died. He did not have to die. There's no reason he should have died, but he did at the knee of a police officer. And there are a lot of things going on right now, a lot of conversations being had, but in my mind, and to bring it to what I'm doing on a daily basis with this business development show, is you're looking at concrete ways to grow your business. You're looking at concrete ways to grow yourself. And then when we look at this country, we want to look at concrete ways to grow, evolve, and adapt in a positive, uplifting way where all boats rise. So this becomes really important. How do you deal with social challenges within your company, within your country, right? The only conversation in my mind that is important, that needs to be taking place, is what are the goals? What are we trying to get at? And how do we get there? I just finished watching Mayor Bill de Blasio, and I love the fact that he was actually addressing what they needed to do within New York State. And I didn't have enough time to follow up on what he was saying, but there's, I guess, a law on the books, 50A, something that prevents some sort of independent review. I don't have all the details on that, but I thought that was great. And I'd love to see more of that from our politicians, our national leaders, from people that are speaking up and speaking out. The fact that you can speak well, and that you can motivate people, that you can speak to the issues, is really important. So let's focus people on the goals. Right now, a lot of people are talking about the fires, the looting, and the thieving. And I really want to talk about all the people that are in the streets marching, not with a hidden objective of stealing something or breaking something or burning something. They want to break something. They want to break the lack of accountability, right? They want to break the disastrous policies that have district attorneys and the same police that the police that are accused of wrongdoing, misuse of power, and murder are doing business with every day. You can't have the same district attorney that depends on the police in a department turning around to prosecute a police officer in that same department. And in many cases, that's happening. And in many cases, even when a police officer is found out or proven guilty or released from duty, they're going to another police department. And something that I've been posting that I didn't include, but I saw also online, which I thought was really good, is having that database so that all police departments are utilizing that police department. And then something that Bill de Blasio also said was making sure that the privacy, right? Because these issues do blow up, and the families of some of these police officers don't deserve. So just making sure their addresses and their privacy is safe, just like we would all want. And we're all innocent until proven guilty. For those that, are looking at this in the lens of a video of Officer Chauvin, former, or hopefully, previously an Officer Chauvin who had his knee on George Floyd's neck, you don't always know all the details to a situation. I think that one was pretty clear cut. Maybe there's something else that'll come out, but it certainly seemed like the absolutely unwarranted, like many deaths have been absolutely unwarranted, and like many deaths don't seem to get the level of accountability until there's rage and protests and riots in the streets. So my message to everyone that's watching this or that will watch this is to keep up the fervor, to keep marching, to keep protesting. I say that, being a father of four, a husband, somebody that is a little scared to leave my house to go out into the streets because I know how much I have to lose. But I applaud everybody out there that's doing it. I'm going to get out with my sign. I also want to address something for everybody that is going out, to be safe, to wear a mask, to be very careful, to address another really sad issue in my community that's happened just over the weekend. A well-loved chef that I've worked with for many years, Pancho Villa, who worked with Cape Breton Events, part of the New York hospitality group in White Plains, Sam's Gedney Way, Great American Barbecue, passed away Friday night. His funeral is being held today. For anyone that thinks COVID is a joke, that it's not serious, death is not a joke. Be careful. As we march forward, whether in your business or whether you're talking about politics, we want to grow. We want to pursue equality and justice for all. Peter Giannini says, so I was down in Soho last night. All was in order with our protest. Then it changed at night and people were just going crazy. What I hate is that people are caring about the riots. A man was murdered, George Floyd. That's the issue. Oh, Miss Pancho. Thanks, Peter. It's there's a lot. It's a very emotional day. As I was getting ready to do this live broadcast, personally, I was like, I wish there was somebody on with me today that, would help me talk about this. I reached out to somebody, and it's tough. It's tough to stand up and talk about these kind of issues. And depending on the color of your skin, it might be a little bit tougher. And I think that we all got to put on a tough skin and understand that there's real wrong being done in this country. And not in the ways that some people are saying, but looking at corruption, accountability on so many levels, whether you choose to recognize it or not. There is a lack of accountability. There is a lack of an ability by our leaders to hold our leaders accountable. Our officers are not holding our officers accountable. And it needs to happen. We have to have oversight. My initial idea, and I'd love to talk about this with more informed individuals to shape a better opinion if there is one. But I think immediately having an agency like the FBI investigate any death while in police custody, having an independent national database on that makes a lot of sense to me. And then an independent civilian review board on the local level for anything less than murder where there's an abuse of power, but certainly the same DAs and police officers that are working with those same police officers should not be in charge of investigating themselves. It just should not be happening. You need independent review. You wouldn't have in a company someone investigating theirself or their own department investigating their own department. You would bring out, an external audit. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So it has to be done. That's really my point for anyone that is passionate and excited about what's happening in terms of change. Let's focus on the goals. Let's get where we need to go. Let's make sure that all of this is for something, and that the lives that have been lost in the past are not in vain, that we move forward, and that this movement right now gets us to a destination that is better than the one that we have come from. Please reach out, send me comments if there's folks that want to come on the show and talk about this in a way where we can kind of talk about the history of the movement, Black Lives Matter, all of the deaths by police hands, so we can talk about the evidentiary pieces of it and things that have worked and not worked in the past. I'd love to have that conversation. I'd love to build on that. I think it's really important for people to note that, companies like Netflix, for example, have come and stepped up to the plate and said that they support the Black Lives Matter movement. And for anybody that's, whenever you hear Black Lives Matter, you want to say, well, don't all lives matter? Obviously. Why is Black Lives Matter a movement? Why is that a phrase or slogan or something that people are getting behind? Because there is a segment of the population, there is a huge double standard. When your white son or your white daughter is messed with, there's something done to them, it's a big deal. But when somebody else's black daughter or black son is killed, oh, well, they may have deserved it. No, their life matters. Black lives matter. That's what it's about. Because attention is not being paid, because accountability is not there. This isn't a black issue. It's not a white issue. It's a human issue, and we all need to understand that. And this movement calls attention to the fact that institutionally, across the US and in other places, people are not placing a value on Black lives, and it has to stop. We have to have the accountability, and we have to have the systems in place to make sure that atrocities like what happened to George Floyd never happen again. Please reach out. Again, I want to continue the conversation. I'm looking forward to that. Again, we want to move towards a destination. Move in peace. Move towards your goals. I'll see you tomorrow.
What did you just do, Daddy?